Lori slipped out of her room, trying her hardest not to wake Lenny or her other siblings. Her heart was racing fast in her chest as she walked down to the hall to the stairs. She stopped to look at her phone, 5:25 a.m. She headed downstairs as quiet as she could. She made her way over to the couch. She sat there, staring at her parents' door. It would open at any moment. Lori knew that it was springing things on her mom, and her first thing was morning. It was probably wasn't the best thing, but she wanted to get it over with. She heard the sound of the alarm, and she braved herself by sitting up on the seat. She bit her lip as hard as the doorknob rattled, and then saw her mother step out of the room in her pink robe and slippers. "Lori, is it that you?" Rita asked as she looked over towards the couch. Lori didn't say anything. "What are you doing up so early?" she asked as she moved over to her. Lori closed her eyes and took a deep breath. I'm having a baby," she whispered. Rita blinked as she tried to understand what Lori just said. "What did you say?" Lori looked up at her. "I'm having a baby." "What do you mean you're having a baby?" she asked. "Are you babysitting or something?" "Mom, I'm pregnant." Rita looked at her next to the couch. "You're what?" "I'm pregnant, Mom," Lori said as she turned to her. Rita shook her head. "You can't be. Your dad and I bought you, well, protection and that." "I forgot to take the protection that day," she said. "I'm not sure what to say." They both turned towards the stairs as footsteps could be heard. Their encounter had gotten a bit louder than expected, and it had woke the kids up. Linny, Luna, Luann, Lynn, and Lincoln came downstairs. "Is everything okay?" Luna asked. "Girls, Lincoln," Rita said as she looked at them. "Did you kids know about this?" They shrugged. "They know," Lori said. "Lincoln found out. I told the other girls. Lisa knows too." "Hey guys, I think this is a bad time," Lincoln said. All five of them looked at each other and then headed back upstairs. Rita sighed and turned back to her daughter, who was now biting her nails. "I'm not mad," she said. "I think I'm just very shocked." "I am too." Rita moved so she was closer to Lori and put her hand on her back. "It's just, you're so young. You're only 18, and you have so many things you could do in your life," she said. Lori sniffled. "I know, but I do want to keep it." Rita looked at her softly. "I figured as much," she said. "You're a strong person and you know you'll get this through, and hopefully you should still be able to fulfill your dreams. I know I did." "What do you mean?" "Lori, honey, I don't think I've ever told you this, but I was in a similar situation in relation to yours," she said. "I wasn't 17, but your father and I have been only married for a few months when you were born." "Really?" She nodded. "Yeah. Well, I know I wasn't 18, but your father and I only have been together for a few months when you were born." "Really?" She nodded. "Yeah, we've been married for 18 years. I told him I was pregnant and he was kind of freaked out a bit, but we weren't sure what to do. But we decided we'd get married as soon as possible because we wanted you to have the best life possible." We were both scared, but I was in dental school and he had just graduated, but we both made it work. "I finished school when you were almost a year old. I was pregnant with Linny too." "Wow, I never knew this," Lori said. "I never really told anyone," she said. "Your father and I like to have secrets." Lori smiled a bit. "My point telling you this is I believe you could still achieve your dreams if you work for it," Rita told her as she put a hand under her chin. "You could become a mom and still do great things, and we'll be there to watch you and help you along the way." Lori felt as if a few tears went down her face. She leaned over and gave her mom a hug. "Thanks, Mom," she said. "You literally have no idea how much this means to me. I've been so scared the past few days I was afraid you'd be angry that you kicked me out." Rita hugged her tight. "No, sweetie," she said. Could never do that. A baby isn't something to be angry about. I'm just worried. Sure, I could never be mad." "What have I done to deserve you as having you as a mom?" Rita gave her a kiss on the cheek. "I love you, Lori. I love you too." They were broken by their moment as the door opened. Lynn Sr. stepped out, and he had a smile on his face. "You heard everything, didn't you?" He nodded slowly. Lori bit her lip and looked up at her father. Before she could say anything, he came over to her and joined into their hug. "We'll get through this," he said. "I want you to know that I'm not mad either. I think I just need some time to process this." "It's okay, Dad," Lori said. "I still need time too." "So you're gonna do great," he said, stroking his daughter's hair. She smiled. The other five kids were watching from the top of the stairs, smiling as they were happy it went well. It was only a matter of time before anyone knew. School had been the least of Lori's worries for the past few days. It was hard to walk through the halls, knowing that she was hiding something. She felt as if anyone was staring at her, but no one else really knew. Telling her friends about something she was afraid wasn't going to go well, but she knew she could trust them. Could she really? But all before she knew they could go off and tell everyone. "Hey, Lori," said a girl, and she came up in the hallway, linked her arms around Lori's. "I'll stick with you today, sis." There was a positive thought. "Hey, if you need anything, we're here," said another girl. She had 3 girls to help her. "You guys don't have to do that," Lori said. "No one really knows yet." "Does that matter?" Luann said. You need the company, so we're here." "Yeah, people like that can be so mean," Lenny said. "We just want to look out for our dear older sis," Luna said. The bell rang. "Looks like you guys will have to go for now," Lori said. "We'll meet you for lunch through, though," Luann said, and the other girls nodded in agreement. They all separated as Lori headed towards her first period. Having English in the first day of the class wasn't really fun. It involved lots of reading and writing, and that was not very a fun thing to do in the morning. She sat down in her seat, which was in front of a lot of group of girls who were notorious for gossiping. Lori often liked to listen to. A little more gossip could never hurt anyone. "Oh my god, did you hear about Nicole?" said one of the girls. "I heard she's pregnant." There were a few gasps. "I'm not so surprised," said another. "She's such a, well, you probably get the idea." Then there was a few laughs. "It's such a shame, really," said another voice. This one came from Carol Pingy, Lori's rival. They had made up a few weeks ago, but she still didn't fully trust her. "She had so much going for her," Carol said. "Then she decided to take that route." The other girls agreed. Lori shivered as she listened to the conversation. She knew that Carol will soon find out, and soon as the whole school, and she didn't want to hear things that could be said about her. She opened up her bag and dug out her headphones, and she turned on the music as loud as she could. It drowned out the words as she did her work. Let's just hope the other sisters didn't hear about this. Lori was relieved when she made it home that day. She wasn't sure how many more days it would last, but she decided to soak it in. Now that most of her family knew, the hardest part was over. There were still many other difficulties ahead though. Telling Bobby, his family, making sure the baby has everything it needs, all the doctor's appointments, giving birth, taking care of the baby. The life she once knew was over, and this was the start of a new chapter. It helped though. Knowing that she had a supportive family, she didn't expect her siblings to take care of the baby, but she knew they'd help. Another thing was weighed on her mind was the financial situation. She quit her job at the arcade a few months ago, and Bobby worked at the bodega. But what was about to happen if he moves in to live with her? She didn't want to rely on her parents to provide for the baby either. They even have 11 children of their own. She felt as though she couldn't relax lately. She had to pull up to the house, and she saw Lana and Lola playing in the sandbox in the backyard. Lily was waddling next to them, trying to catch a butterfly in her hands. She remembered what it was like to be a kid, not to have any worries at all. There was a tire swing in the backyard that she went to and started to swing. That was the thing that's been there since she was a kid. And then there was something that made her feel like a kid again. Watching her younger sisters play was so peaceful. Then there was that feeling again, those butterflies in her stomach. Now she knew that it wasn't because she was nervous, and that was her baby, the little life that inside her that would be wanting to come out into the world one day. She stopped swinging for a moment, and then she looked down at her belly. "You want in all of this fun, do you, huh?" Then Lincoln came outside and sat beside her, resting against the tree. "Hey, little bro," said Lori. "What's up?" "I wanted to play a new game," she said, pointed out, "but Mom made me play outside instead." "She just wants you to get some fresh air," Lori said as she swung a bit. "Play those games could be a bit too much fun sometimes." Lincoln then looked at her and lifted a brow. "You sound like Mama already." Lori then thought for a moment. "I don't know. I feel like I've always been that way," she said. "I mean, I've been taking care of you since you were little. I kind of remember. There were a few times when you said that you fell and hit your head hard and I helped you up," she said. "But you couldn't have done it for, and you listened to me." Lincoln laughed. "Really?" She nodded. "Yeah, I've always looked out for you and our sisters," she said. She got even down from the swing and sat down beside him. "I've always felt like that it was one of my jobs as the oldest, you know," she said. "I wanted to take care of you guys and make sure you were okay. You still help me when I have nightmares. I wouldn't trade it for anything." He looked at her. "Are you scared?" Lincoln asked. "Of course," she said, looked up at him. "Not just for the birth part, but for everything else too. Are you worried about what Bobby's gonna say?" "I'd be lying if I said I wasn't," she said, "but I don't think he'll mind. He'll be shocked, sure, but I think he'll be excited. Well, are you excited yet? You literally asked me many questions, Link. He blushed a bit. I'm sorry. I'm just playing, Lori said as she ruffled his hair. Honestly, yeah, I am. I am too. Oh yeah? He nodded. Well, I know who I will be getting help to change diapers. Lincoln stuck his tongue out. Oh no, I already have to do that with Lily. I know, but you know you have to too. He shook his head. Are you crazy? She laughed and then grabbed his hand. She took a look at it and put it above her belly. Do you feel anything yet? He shook his head. No, but I know it's in there. I can feel it a bit, she said. They start to move when they feel your hand. Really? Yeah. Lincoln smiled. I love them already, he said as he rubbed her belly. I know you do, she said. I think they feel the same way. Kids, time to come inside. Now you can get to play your new game. Yeah, they got up and went inside, and Lori still felt the butterflies in her belly. Lincoln finished brushing his teeth and then went downstairs. Ping! The phone went off. The light from the phone burned as his eyes were trying to adjust to it. Hey, Lamo. Hey, Ronnie. Ann. Bobby's little sister and I have been best friends who didn't get to see often. He texted back. Hey, Ronnie Ann. What's up? I was just thinking about I get to see you in 2 days. I've missed you more like a friend to admit. He felt his heart flutter a bit. His feelings for Ronnie Ann were a bit complicated. He liked her as a friend, but also more than a friend. I missed you too. He also pointed out that he would be an aunt too, and he always had a feeling that Lori and Bobby would be together forever. But now it was mostly guarantee. No matter what, the baby was part of Ronnie Ann's family too. To Lincoln, that he was reassuring, even if something were to happen with the siblings, he'd still have a chance with Ronnie Ann. He smiled as he looked down at his phone. I've got to go to bed. Call me tomorrow? Yeah, I can do that. Good night, Ronnie Ann. See ya, Lamo. Lincoln then placed his phone on his nightstand and pulled the covers over and get to bed. As he pulled them over his head, he sighed. Good night, Ronnie Ann. Lori made her way down to the kitchen for a late night snack, and she knew how bad it was to eat late at night, but was going to get fat anyway. That didn't matter anymore. Those cravings were bad though. She made her way to the bottom of the stairs and spotted her mother sitting on the couch with a cup of coffee in her hands. Mom, what are you doing still up? She said. Oh, I didn't mean to wake you, Rita said. No, you didn't, Lori added. The baby did. I'm so hungry. Go get a snack and then come and sit. Lori headed to the kitchen and then she came back with a bag of chips. Is everything okay? She asked as she sat down next to her mom on the couch. I just want to ask some things, Rita said. How are you feeling? Better. I think my morning sickness is starting to go away. That's good. Those will help too, Rita said, pointing at the bag of chips. When I was pregnant, I ate for the first few months was chips and crackers, all 10 times. I couldn't imagine having to deal with that 10 times. I didn't think I would either, but things do happen, Lori nodded. Well, I wanted to tell you that I've set up an appointment for you, Rita told her. It's on Monday and it's with my doctor. Really? She nodded. Yeah, the doctor who delivered you will be delivering your baby. Isn't that funny? It is. Now for the other thing, Rita said. Does Bobby know yet? Lori shook her head. No. Lincoln and I were going to head to visit them on Saturday, she said. I was planning to tell him then. Good, Rita said. It's important that he knows. It's his baby, too. I just hope he takes it well, Lori said. I'm afraid of him freaking out. Rita placed a hand on Lori's shoulder. You know, I know he'll be surprised, but as well as I am, she paused. But I know how he feels about you, and you know how he feels about him. I know for a fact that his baby came from love, she continued. I know you two are still young, and of course, still in school, but I have no doubt that you would love each other. That means so much to hear you say that, Lori said. So many people have come to the Mayoni siblings and told me that wouldn't be last at first. Well, they're just looking out for the big sis, Rita said. They get to watch you get your heart broken so many times, and even your father and I were skeptical. Bobby's a nice guy, and Janine too. I have no doubt that he'll be a wonderful father. I love him, Mom, and I know that. I know that brings me to the other point, Rita said. If Bobby takes the news well, I have a feeling that he will, then your father and I have agreed to let him come and live with us. We want our grandchild to both have the parents if that's all possible. Mom, it's okay if you don't know what to say, she told her. But what I really mean is that we can work out the finances later. All I care about is making sure you and the baby and Bobby are okay. Thank you so much, honesty, Lori said. This means so much to me. You mean so much to me, Rita said. I love all my children so much that you mean the world to me. But you, Lori, you were my first baby. Nothing will ever change that. I want you to feel the same way about your first child. So I did with you. Lori started to cry. Then her mom pulled her into a hug. I love you. I love you too, Rita whispered as she kissed her head. My baby girl.